Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the Bitcoin miners, and we're also going to go over AMC a little bit. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so you'll have to excuse me, but I woke up this morning with a cough again. It's just like apparently the worst kind of month for me as of this year, but it's not going to stop me from making some of this content for y'all. So let's go ahead and get into this stuff. So as you guys can see here, Mara is looking very bullish. So we did have this green candle close above the EMAs, and then we also had a follow-up candle close above the support zone here. So if I actually draw a trend line down, again, this is a typical breakout trend line. You guys can see that we did indeed have a breakout here. And keep in mind, we are still kind of in this, I don't know why this is actually shaped like this. So we're kind of in this channel right here. It's not quite really a rising wedge. Again, the coiling is not tight enough to be considered a wedge. You want to see something more like this, for example. That would be considered a wedge. This is not a wedge. It's more like a channel. So pretty much what we would be looking for here. And again, I don't know why this is so off. TradingView keeps doing this for some reason. I'm not sure why, but so the price is looking bullish. The top of the channel, as you guys can see, is way up here. So it's at $46. Again, that's not really all that high for Mara. So Mara's all-time high is way higher than that. It's up here at $84, as you guys can see. Granted, there's a lot more options in terms of Bitcoin-related products that you can buy these days. Like you can buy Bito, you can buy what was the other ones? So there's Bito, there's the GBTC, there's the Bitcoin miners, there's the spot Bitcoin ETFs. You can buy the actual Bitcoin, and I'm sure there's probably some other Bitcoin related products out there that I don't know about. But even though there's more options, it doesn't mean that these can't run up. Okay, you guys got to remember, there's a lot of options traders that are looking at these Bitcoin miner stocks with the intention of making options premiums. And there's a lot of people that are investing in the Bitcoin miners that intend to make bank. Okay. I just saw a dude the other day on YouTube. And yeah, believe it or not, we do actually follow other content creators on YouTube that made like some $75,000 profit or something on Mara. So a lot of people are going to say, oh, the Bitcoin miners are dead because they have the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Guys, that's not true. Okay. As far as I know, you can't even do options on the spot ETFs. Let me actually look and see. Yeah, so you can see BlackRock's IBIT Trust here, or basically the IBIT BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. There is no options here, okay? So you don't get that option, pun intended, with the ETFs as far as I know. But with the Bitcoin miners, you do. So Mara, $18.20 to $20 is going to be support still. $29 to $33.25 is going to be roughly about the resistance. And as I told you guys already, roughly about $47.50 is going to be the swing high up there. So from the current price to the resistance zone, 53.5%. I'm actually going to have to remeasure this to get this accurately. But from the current price all the way up, assuming, let's say, maybe it's over here somewhere, it's going to be roughly about 132% move. That's absolutely possible. Again, we do kind of need to get above this resistance here, but as you guys can see, the price is not having large swings to the downside, meaning the bulls are trying to push this thing up. And this bottom trend line here is holding pretty steady. So if you were waiting for a slight pullback on this thing, I don't think we're going to get it at this point. I'm just being honest. So 75% from the bottom of the range to the top of the resistance range. Again, I don't think we're going to get a pullback on this because we do finally have a green candle breakout and then a confirmation candle, not just above the EMAs, but above support as well. So Mara's looking very bullish. The histogram is also changing color and the EMAs are starting to move back up, and we have a golden cross on the RSI. So I would say that Mara is actually looking really good for a potential breakout at this point. So CleanSpark, again, this is one that we have quite a bit of. I think we have like $7,000 invested in CleanSpark at this point. Didn't really plan for it to be that way. It just kind of, yeah, CleanSpark kind of got smashed on our cash secured put. It went way lower than expected. So, yeah, we kind of made a mistake on that one, but it doesn't matter because if it goes up ultimately, which I believe it will, and when I say up, I mean to much higher highs. How high exactly, I don't know, but it's not going to matter because we'll be in profit. So, again, things are looking very good. This is kind of the channel here. So, I really got to extrapolate this channel out quite a bit for y'all to actually even see this. But if this thing bounces off the bottom of this channel here and it really swings up hard, just like Mara, again, this is going to be a big move. So this would put the price, let's just say in a couple weeks from now, which again, I don't know if it's going to happen in a couple weeks. It might take a couple of months. I'm just showing you guys what the more immediate price would be if it were to actually move up that fast, would be roughly about $48, $49, somewhere in there. So pretty large move. That'd be about 237%. And again, these Mara and CleanSpark are the biggest Bitcoin miners, but it does not mean that they cannot become bigger. I mean, just take a look at MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is huge. Okay, their stock is worth $1,600 a share right now. They're not even a Bitcoin miner. Okay, they just hold Bitcoin. The Bitcoin miners are the most important piece because that's where all the exchanges, all the institutions that want to buy Bitcoin, that's where they're going to get them from. They have to get them from the miners. The miners sell them to the open market, which the open market then buys and then resells, and or however they do it. Okay, the logistics of it. So something to keep in mind here. Do I think CleanSpark and Mara are going to go to $1,600 a share? Well, I don't know. I could see CleanSpark and Mara at maybe $100 a share. I don't know about 1,600, but it depends on a lot of things, like how much they might have to dilute to buy more Bitcoin mining equipment, more facilities, stuff like that. It kind of really depends. So I don't want to get too much into that, but anyways, so the current support you're going to be looking at, it's going to be roughly about $15. So pretty much the bottom of these candle bodies here, which lines up again as of this week, pretty closely to that white trend line down there. Resistance as of right now is going to be $21 to about $23.80. Again, if it gets up to this resistance, we will be back at break even. So definitely looking forward to that. So from the trend line to the resistance area is about a 60% move. And from the current price to the resistance area is 35%. And then to the swing high, roughly about 39% move. And again, this thing is, I suppose, there is actually, I just noticed this. So there is actually another possibility here that I kind of wanted to point out to y'all. This would probably actually be a little bit more obvious on the monthly. So let's go ahead and take a look at that here. But there is a potential for a bull flag. So you have this sideways flag pattern and then this, flag pattern. And then this would be the pole right here. But let's actually pop out to the monthly chart and kind of take a look at this. So you can see it's a little bit more obvious here. So this big, huge move up and then kind of just going sideways, right? For pretty much 3 months. If I were to extrapolate this out, and you guys can see it very clearly looks like a bull flag. Basically from the bottom of the flag here all the way to the target top would be about $40. If that was the target move, if that's not the target move and the target breakout begins from the top of the flag, the target would actually be, I believe, at new all-time highs. So that'd be about $60 per share on clsk. Okay, maybe not quite new all-time highs, but it would be pretty far up there compared to what we're sitting at right now. I mean, again, it would be more than a 3x gain, so that's a pretty big move. And there's no guarantees that this has to play out, but I did just want to point that out for you guys in case you were wondering. So Riot, this thing does actually look quite good. Okay, so this trend line, we can get rid of this because I'm not sure what's going on there. So this is the kind of the big long trend line we're looking at here to potentially get a breakout. As you guys can see, we got a candle above it. If I'm actually to pull this out a little bit so the wicks are more lined up, you can see that it still actually barely comes out of it. So it is out of it, although it's not very obvious. Sometimes the market can be pretty tricky like that. Excuse me. So if I go down to the daily chart. You guys can see there's an inverse head and shoulders pattern here. So we have our left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then we would be looking for break of the neckline here, and then the target would be roughly about $16.50. So that's a pretty massive increase. We have not seen that yet. We've seen a break of this kind of longer term trend line, but not a break of the inverse head and shoulders pattern yet. So as of right now, I would say pretty much the current price is going to be about, if this thing is going to break out, it's pretty much going to be, I would say, about as good a price as you're going to get. You could wait for a pullback to maybe like $9. I mean, it seems to want to trade around that range a lot, but again, there's no guarantees it's going to happen at this point, and we do have a break of this trend line, so somewhere in that $9 to $10 range. And resistance up here is about $18.60 to $21. So I can measure this from the current price to the resistance top, 102%. And then we'll just say basically from the break of the trend line to the resistance top, we'd be looking at 106%. But even if you just held it, let's say from the current price to the inverse head and shoulders pattern target, you'd be looking still at 57%. So you're going to get, if you put $1,000 in, you basically get like 500. If you put 10,000 in, 5,000, pick a number. And again, what you guys choose to do with that, that's entirely up to you. So HUT 8, again, I don't really understand why TradingView keeps doing this. It keeps doing this weird thing. I don't know what's going on here. It keeps moving the lines around for some reason. I don't know why. So again, we kind of have this, what looks to potentially be maybe some kind of broadening wedge here. Again, this is moving down, which is usually a bullish sign. Whenever you get a widening, broadening wedge like this, that goes down, it's a reverse indicator. So if the direction is down, then it's bullish. If the direction is up, then it's bearish. As you guys can see, we're kind of trending towards, the price is moving towards the top line here, which is a very bullish sign in my opinion. So we do have a weekly MACD golden cross here, and you can see the histogram is starting to very slowly turn green. That's also a good sign. So as of right now, I would say support is going to be anywhere between probably about the $7 area, which is where a lot of the price is getting traded, to roughly about the current price, so roughly about $9. And again, the first resistance zone up here is going to be about $18 to about $22.50. So even from the current price, I mean, you're talking at least more than a 2x. So 141% move here. If I were just to measure this, let's say from that roughly $7 area to the swing high up here, 215% move. Cipher, this one is kind of slowly moving up into this resistance area here. I can actually draw a trend line, because if this is anything like the previous patterns we've seen before, like on SoundHound and NVIDIA, we basically get this, I don't know what you would call this, like an ascending triangle, which usually is actually a bullish pattern, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not real familiar with the triangles, but I believe it's a bullish pattern. So the point here is that we're getting higher lows. Okay, higher lows is always a good sign for the bulls, and if we continue to get higher lows and push against this resistance, eventually it will snap and go to the upside. That's usually how it works. So as of right now, I would say the trend line is going to be your support. So roughly about 375 in this case. If you guys want to know support below that, it's roughly about $2 to $2.60. The resistance zone is going to be $5 to roughly about $5.50 a share. So from the trend line to, let's say, that wick high up there, about 53% move. And from the current price to the wick high, about 41% move. Again, we're not really planning on buying this one anytime soon. We would want to see it kind of get down here to buy it. It is it is at a good price at this trend line. I mean, if it snaps out of here like SoundHound and NVIDIA did, could go all the way up here to $9.5 to $10. That would still be a huge move. But again, we kind of want to put ourselves in a position where we have basically the best asymmetrical bet as much as humanly possible. Excuse me. So again, btbt, This is one that we are pretty heavy in at this point. So $2 is, I would say, is probably going to be the base here. A lot of the candle body bottoms are at that $2 level. Resistance is going to be somewhere between 420 to roughly about 5.25. So from the current price to the wick high, the move would be about 110%. And then from, let's say it does pull back to $2, which at this point it wouldn't surprise me because, again, we're still not above the EMAs. All the way to the wick high, about 161% move. So another thing to point out here is we did actually get a break of this trend line. So you can kind of see that price was getting held down below this trend line. I could actually draw another trend line here, which would kind of give us this falling wedge pattern. That's generally a very bullish pattern. You can see we just finally got a break out of it. That's a very bullish sign. Okay, again, the target for the falling wedge is the top of the wedge, so roughly about $5.50 a share. BITF, I really don't know why TradingView keeps doing this. It's kind of annoying. Okay, so yeah, I don't know why it keeps doing that, y'all. Sorry about that. So as you guys can see, we're kind of holding this trend line here. So we did get a bounce off of it, although we have not gotten above this resistance zone yet. So we're kind of stuck in between the trend line and the resistance zone. If it breaks down, likely it's probably going to, I would say, hold maybe somewhere around $1.20. But it's, I mean, once it gets above the EMAs, it'll be a little bit more bullish, I would say. But since this resistance is so close to the trend line, we're not going to look at that as a target. We'll go a level up. So $3 to about $3.60, and then $4 after that is what you'd be looking at. I mean, unless you want to hold for a 17% gain. I mean, that's still a good return, but again, it could be a lot more. So 49% to roughly about 78%, and then all the way up at the high, 95%. Okay, so let's get into AMC real quick. I want to show you guys this before we get out of here. All right, so AMC is actually looking quite bullish. So again, on the weekly time frame here, you guys can see on the RSI, we were massively oversold on the RSI. Okay, the short sellers were just dumping the hell out of this thing. And yeah, I mean, anything below the 30 is oversold. So you can see we tapped it twice. But the important thing to note here is that we have bullish divergence that's been forming basically since September of 2023, okay? So the histogram started turning from dark red to light red. And as soon as these EMAs down here on the MACD moved up, that confirmed the bullish divergence, okay? Basically what I mean by this is we started to notice that there was bullish divergence taking place because, again, our MACD moving up, price moving down. That's a bullish indicator, okay? That's a reversal indication. Now, in terms of price, so we kind of have this, again, I don't really know what this is. This is like a falling broadening wedge. But you guys can see that we have this big fat green candle here. And of course, this crazy wick. So sellers came in, tried to sell it. But then we had another green candle on the following week. Okay, that's very good. So we did actually get a close above. Well, yeah, I suppose if I was measuring it like this, yeah, we got to close above it. But actually, that's not true. I don't know what the heck is going on with TradingView today, y'all. Sorry about that. So we don't have a close out of it yet. But I mean, again, a falling broadening wedge is actually still a bullish pattern. So that's something to keep in mind. So the bullish divergence is there, the falling broadening wedge, those are both bullish signs. If I actually go down to the daily time frame and point this out to y'all as well. So excuse the noise in the background. I don't know what the heck that is. But we have two gaps here, as you guys can see. Generally speaking, the market always loves to fill gaps. They get filled like 98% of the time or something like that. So those gaps are going to be between 1650 to 1950, and then above that 3650 to 43. I suspect we're probably going to go all the way up there before we start finding some serious resistance. That's what I think is likely. So we got earnings August 8th, as you guys can see. Before I go back to AMC, I want to point this out. So GME has earnings coming up on June 5th. If the earnings are extremely bullish for GME, that alone could be enough to push the price of AMC higher. Now, in terms of the monthly time frame on AMC, as you guys can see here, simply put, okay, we had a MACD golden cross back here in July of 2020. The timing of this was not perfect. As you guys can see, as soon as we had the cross, there was actually a sell-off. That's usually how it happens in the short term. You get a golden cross on the MACD, there's a slight sell-off. You get a death cross on the MACD, there's a pump sometimes, and then a sell-off. So there's always a reverse move in the immediate short term, usually, before we end up seeing it actually play out according to what the indicator shows. So a slight pullback, and then boom, absolutely skyrocketed, okay? So you guys can see it's a pretty large move. This thing is absolutely ridiculous. So from the bottom of this move to the top of this move, you guys can see it's insane. So 3,500% move. Again, pretty much what we're looking at here is the MACD held a golden cross back here. The MACD is about to have a golden cross right now. As you guys can see, we have to close this month out first to confirm it. But assuming that it does play out as a golden cross, I am suspecting that probably over, I would say, the next maybe, I don't know exactly, maybe give it probably like 3, 4, 5 months, we should start seeing some seriously bullish price action. Again, if it takes 4 or 5 months, that would line up perfectly with the elections and the potential Fed rate cuts, which again is all very bullish. So the timing, the convergence of the timing would be perfect in that case. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Again, this is the Bitcoin Miners. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.